Yeah, we have to be best friends. Hi there. I am so glad you're here today. It's Wednesday, of course, it's the big live. It's January 15th, 2025, and I have what's been going on. So, what has been going on here? Well, we've got some new stuff in, and we've got some fun events coming up. There will be a book signing next month for a book launch party for a wonderful woman who has written her experiences into a wonderful informative book that the things that led her from being ghosts don't exist to, oh my gosh, that's a poltergeist. I need to reevaluate my entire life's choices. We're finalizing that date, so there'll be more on that next week, but very excited because she's local. So please come to her to support her. Probably mid-February would be when we're going to be doing this. We've got Reiki 1 coming up this Sunday. So if you're interested in getting your Reiki 1, Usui traditional Reiki in person in a small group, come down. It's the perfect day to do Reiki 1. And of course, the next Sunday we'll have the Reiki Share. And we'll also have Chris's wonderful palmistry series. So this will be one installment of his 4-part series. This is a by donation class. If you have ever been interested in palmistry, he is incredible in the depth and breadth of his knowledge on this subject. It's wonderful. So do come down and check that out. If you were interested in the Tarot Lab or other by donation class, that has happened and it will occur again next month on the second Sunday of the month. On Saturdays, for the rest of the month, we'll have the Standing Stones in at noon to do their free event here. It's called their Seekers class. And so for January 18th, they'll be doing centering and grounding. So if you feel like you've been yanked around a little bit, kind of energy scattered all over the place, it's going to be a really informative class. And then the 25th of January, we'll have chakras and the energetic bodies with the Standing Stones Seekers class. And that's always an informative class and kind of helps you figure out like how your body responds to stuff. It's an interesting series. Any other things? Well, I'll be teaching Herbalism Year 2 tonight. I'll be doing Herbalism Year 3 on Tuesdays and the first Sunday next month, Herbalism 1. If you're interested in really an in-depth look at herbalism, I'd recommend signing up for next fall, Year 1, which will probably be on Tuesday evenings. And if you need to make payments, if you need a payment plan, I recommend registering by June at the latest so that you can make 3 installments over the course of the summer. That said, anything else happening? Oh, yes, there's one other thing happening. In January, RavenWolf is going to be teaching synchronicities at 3 o'clock on Saturday the 25th. Should be a very interesting class. There's some good questions that are going to be posed and discussed in the class, and we will get into more of that in just a little bit. Meanwhile, I'm going to remind you guys about our wonderful readers, including the illustrious RavenWolf. RavenWolf is here Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 3 o'clock on, and on Saturdays from noon until at least 2. Let's say that. Could be longer, especially with the Standing Stones event, which I hear you've enjoyed. Tracy will be here on Thursday from noon to 6 and Sunday noon to 6. Winter is here from 1 to 5 on Fridays, and it's also wonderful. And if you're interested in dream interpretation, Paul is here Mondays from 2 to 6 p.m. Those are our fabulous readers. In a pinch, I'll do, but I like the readers to be the readers. That's my preference. So on to fun stuff. So what's come in? I've had more than one person tell me that when this line of jewelry comes in, they want to know. So I'm telling y'all now. We got our latest order from the sterling silver company that we work with, Crystal Earth. They do wonderful work. It is, let's call it our high-end jewelry line. They've sent in all of these beautiful pieces, including, look at that, the owl with the garnet eyes on a chain. So if you've already got the ring from us, and there's a good chance you have, because we sold a lot of them, we've got both this on the chain, and we've also got it just as a pendant, so you can string it on something that you would prefer. But these, a lot of rings, some cool pendulums.
I got this one.
The lapis one?
The lapis.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yes, yeah, they do nice work, and the stones are high quality, the settings are high quality, it's just absolutely beautiful. We also got in some new releases from one of our publishers that we go with, which is Llewellyn here in the Twin Cities. So Deborah Blake's A Year in a Day series continues with Year in a Day of Everyday magic. For those of you who would like to explore astrology outside of the Western perspective, there's a new book out on Chinese astrology by Donna Stelhorn, and that should be a blast. We also have by Claire Johnson, The Elixir of Sleep. It goes into what kind of sleep are you? It celebrates that need for rest, your dream work, all of those lovely things. So this one looks very good. And on that note, there's also, if you're working with your dreams, the Dream Cure by Teresa Chung. I hope I'm saying that right. But a wonderful approach to remembering your dreams and working with them to help you heal anything going on. And I'll remind you again, since I'm looking at this book, the Paul is here on Mondays to help you with that job. We've also got Tarot Mysticism that came in. And that one's by, can I say this one? Joe Monteleone, or Monteleone. I don't know. I'm good either way, though, personally. But this is going to link together not just tarot, but tarot with numerology, which is a favorite pairing of mine, Kabbalah, all kinds of interesting perspectives, including how to approach a tarot deck in a non-dualistic way. I'm going to tell you that I approach a tarot deck in a non-dualistic way by assuming that it's all about me. If there's a masculine aspect, it could still be me. If there's a feminine aspect, it could still be me. That's okay. You know, it goes back to, there's a theory about folklore and fairy tales, especially ones shared with children, that the individual hearing the story is all of the characters, and those are all parts of their psyche. And that's, I think, a reasonable approach to getting your own tarot cards.
I like that.
Yeah. It's a nice approach. And the last one I've got for you today is by Edifus book. It is Queer Rice, brand new off the presses. This should be a very interesting read because it's going to have come along that cultural route where we're embracing more and more variation in how we interpret who we are, what we stand for, and how we want to live. This is going to be a fun one. And I know there's somebody who has their eye on this book already. So if you want to come grab it, I'll be ordering books on Friday or Saturday. I'll get it back if it sells before then. Now, those are the books that have come in and the wonderful jewelry that has come in. And that brings me to the delightful RavenWolf. Hello. Who is a reader here.
Correct.
And about to begin teaching here.
That's true.
And about to start offering Reiki services here.
Yes.
We have a lot to talk about.
We do.
So let's start, since you've been here doing tarot readings for quite a while, let's talk a little bit about tarot. And I know you've told us once before, but what stumbled you into that?
Well, I think I wanted to always to be subversive. That was kind of my theme of my life. And there's nothing more subversive in Texas than tarot, especially for a person who's religious. So when I first started getting into it, I had to hide the cards from my parents and only use them around my friends. And so that's sort of set up an interesting dynamic. I guess in the latter part of my life, tarot has really become a major part of my spiritual journey. So that's kind of a latter development.
Well, that's excellent, though. Yeah. I know you brought some decks.
I did bring some decks, some really good ones, and there's a theme today. Decks that look like us. To me, some tarot decks, not slamming any particular deck, but they look like a giant Renaissance festival. There's a lot of tights, there's a lot of funny looking hats, all that. And I chose two decks that I have had people report resonances with. The first one, I'm going to show the box. Blanco Nero. There we go. Can you see that? Yeah, it's really cool. Shining there. And this deck really is based on the traditional Wade Smith deck, but it's got two distinctive things. One is it's in black and white, which I kind of find fascinating. I like wood block, I like my photography, so that's there. The other thing, and this is what people have mentioned to me, is these look like real people.
Yeah.
Okay, I call this cocktail hour. That's 3 cups. You can see the 3 ladies in there. Then we have Page of Pentacles. He's probably a landscaper, I'm guessing, working on his landscaping job. And there's the Two of Cups. This couple, I think I spied them at Momo sushi recently. So they seem to be very contemporary, very Northeast Minneapolis. And finally, this one is a little odd, but it reminds me of Walt Whitman. I don't know why, probably that.
Yeah.
But it is urban gardening, is what I call it. So those are interesting, and if you want to get a reading with this, I find it has a lot of resonance with relationships. So that would be one. The second one is really interesting. There was a painter in Austria named Gustav Klimt who worked at the end of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th, I believe. And someone got the bright idea of taking some of his images and creating a tarot deck out of them. Not only that, but they used gold leaf very extensively, which I love. So I'm just going to show you a couple of these. Let's see, this is, if I can read it from here, is the Ace of Chalices or Cups. And actually, it shows it in 4 languages at the top, just the international version. You can see it looks very late 19th century. The thing I like about Klimt is that he was way ahead of his time in terms of gender. So a lot of these are genderless or gender expansive images that got put into the cards. Now this is, I think this can be seen a very pensive King of Pentacles. Okay. Let's see what else.
You have to forgive the autofocus of the camera.
Oh, sorry. Queen, oh there it is, moving around. Queen of Chalices, I love that stance. Look at that hand on the hip. And it's beautiful. Now, when I first used this for reading, it was interesting. I just picked it out of the air for the person. Then I came to find out that they had one of the pictures hanging on their wall at home. So it turned out to be very appropriate for their reading. So, and it highlights what I guess I wanted to talk about, which is I think that most of us, when we come for a reading, really are seeking answers. And about 99% of the time, those answers are already inside of us. And all the cards do is basically draw that out. And I tell my clients that really it's a dialogue between you and these cards. I'm just here to facilitate the dialogue. And I found that that's probably the most helpful way to look at tarot.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's there to provide some suggestions, some ways of thinking about what might be coming down the road, get you to maybe rethink sometimes what your decision might be at some near future date. That's often what I find people will experience. And that can be very reassuring because it can be like, oh, no, I think I made all the right calls, excellent. Or it can be very unsettling as you get a cautionary, like more, a cautionary little speech from the tarot deck, and you're like, okay, maybe I won't do that then. Maybe that's not the right job to take. Maybe that's, anything along those lines, really helpful. And I think it's fascinating too that the Klimt deck, it's not something he developed himself.
No,
it's something that in retrospect.
Who looked at his images and said, just like the golden tarot, that black.
Yeah.
She looked at the romance images and said, this deserves to be highlighted. And so, with the Klimt deck, it's amazing how he took the figures from his paintings and sort of shaped them into tarot figures.
And it's not necessarily the entire piece of art. Sometimes it really is just a segment of that painting because it's what fits that card really well. But rather synchronistic, don't you think?
I think so.
Mm-hmm. And you've got that wonderful class coming up on the 25th. Now, how is that class? That class is called Synchronicities.
It's called Synchronicities, and of course that's a very big title. And I have a very definite purpose. In Perennial Philosophy by Aldous Huxley, he makes a big deal out of there being 2 kinds of, really, maybe 3 kinds of spiritual knowledge. There's the intellectual, and then there's the practical, and then there's that middle ground where you're combining the 2, and that's where I think we want to stay if we can. because I spent a lot of my adulthood up here and then down here, but really in the middle. It sounds very geographical because it is. What we'll be talking about is spiritual technologies from different traditions that will help us integrate spirit and body, that will help us understand a little more about our universe and how it operates. And I know that sounds vague, but if you come, you'll experience it in real time. And I hope at some point you'll read Huxley's book, because to me, he sort of highlights what's true in so many different realms of life. It isn't just about a particular divination practice or about a particular way of doing spells. It's really more about how do you approach life, how do you relate to your surroundings. And so that's what we're talking about. Basically, synchronicities that we find in our lives will help us live better.
I like that. Would you say that the philosophy that espoused in that book could be thought of as all of these things, these spells, these decks, these methods are all metaphor that we're going to use to express our lives and our beings?
And they all relate to how humanity is shaped. The thing I like about this book is the microcosm reflects the macrocosm. So that if you have a map of yourself, you already have a map of the universe. You just need to figure out where in your body this is showing up as a purpose. You get that. Where is your reality showing up at some point? And even tarot, the tree of life reading, really has correspondences in the body. And we'll even talk a little bit about that on Saturday, and also about sound and light and chanting and all the different things that people use to bring us home.
Oh, I like that idea. And it kind of fits nicely into the discussions that we've been having lately about the possibility of perhaps there being a future ritual here based in chaos magic, because I think once you grasp that it's all metaphor and it's about choosing the best metaphors to express how you're living and feeling and being, chaos magic makes the most sense in many ways.
It really does. It's eclectic and it's practical.
Yeah.
And those are the two things that I pride myself on doing these days. So hopefully we'll be able to do that sometime in February, March timeframe, and people can bring their tools and their ideas, and we'll just do some magic together.
I like that plan. So we'll have some fun in the class. We'll talk about synchronicities. We'll talk about pattern finding, it sounds like.
Yeah.
How things relate to one another. And what it reminds me of actually is my favorite Herman Hesse book, which is The Glass Bead Game. Well, the purpose of the game in the novel is you're going to take all the fragile intellectuals. These are people, frankly, not fit to teach. They know too much, and they need something productive to do. So let's make them play the glass bead game. So what's the glass bead game? The glass bead game is, okay, you've studied these 5 disciplines to a PhD level. Congratulations. Come up with a synthesis statement that combines those things. So,
theory of everything.
The theory of everything, yeah.
Theory.
That's the basic premise of the game. It's not the premise of the novel, but it is the premise of the game in the glass bead game. The premise of the novel is teaching a young man who's likely to going to choose to become a player of the glass bead game. And for Hess, making fun of his friends, like Nietzsche. That's there too. So if you understand the philosophers that Hess would have dealt with in person, you'll find that in the novel, I promise. It's kind of fun. It's also, to me, that novel exemplifies the need for something beyond teaching. It's great if you're going to go out and lead a coven and you want to teach people how to do whatever form of whatever it is you practice. That's wonderful. A grove, a coven, a circle, what have you. But what happens when you're done with that and you've mastered that skill? If you still are not called to do that, how do you express yourself? How do you contribute to your society? And I think the glass bead game answers that question to a degree. It's about intellectual play. It's one of those books I asked my thirds to read for that reason. So, has the controversies about Hess aside, you know.
Can I kind of draw off of that?
Yeah.
To me, what is attractive about chaos magic is that it is ultimately, it's about the many. It's
Yeah.
not about the one.
Yeah.
But all the other practices that I deal with have non-dualism as the goal, and I really do think that's where we're headed.
Yeah.
And we could say, I am you and you are me, and that's what we'll talk a lot about that on Saturday. But to me, chaos magic tends to decrease the entropy in the universe by bringing things back together that have traditionally been separated. In fact, I think one of my favorite magic operations is to bring two opposite things together. And
create harmony, create the inner working.
Because that creates a greater unity. It's sort of like that old commercial, nobody remembers now, where the guy has the chocolate, the guy has the peanut butter, and they collide and they create Reese's peanut butter cups. That's the way
I like that. I think that's a great way to look at that. So yeah, I think that I had a thought. It did evaporate from my brain, I admit. That's okay though. The working of chaos magic. Now I know we're leaving your synchronicities class behind, but that's true. It does start with finding those synchronicities. That finding those things that you can bring into harmony. What inspires you when you're looking for how you want to do that?
Well, that's a really interesting question. This is really odd. Okay, the things that don't fit, like if you see something out of place. For example, okay, I'll just pick out an idea. If you look on the street, you see a dollar bill, you pick it up. Other things in life you pick up that don't really fit in their surroundings, and then you create something new with them. And it seems to me that's the way we live our lives anyway. If we're actually honest with ourselves, that we're as much about non-patterning as we are about patterning. And so that's kind of the way I would look at it. What I love about my practice of chaos magic, which is granted just recent and limited, but it is you use what's there. You don't create a special, you don't have a special ceremony that you do in your life. You create the ceremony out of what's in there in your life and what you need to do, which I love. I still love ceremony. I still love ceremonial magic. I have an altar. I have, the symbols on it. But what I found recently is to be freed up from necessarily following a formula and just going with the flow. That's pretty hard to do if you're German. That's my background.
And I think there's a place for that stable, steady. Everybody's been through this experience. Like everybody's been through basic training here in the Army. We all have that in common. We can all speak through that experience to each other, and there's a benefit there. But then there's also that benefit to that perfect ceremony that could never become something that got handed down. My favorite example ever, and this was an initiation that took place here in the Twin Cities in an eclectic group, and it was somebody, the only person in the group apparently who really, 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 really loved the Wizard of Oz. There were ruby slippers involved in that initiation. There had to be. Come on, how do you not? Unless you're following a rigid system, which again has its place. I think it's wonderful, but you'll never capture the uniqueness of that experience unless you're willing to reach beyond the pattern. And I think it's
simple pattern. You have the pattern, yet you transcend the pattern. Transcend and include, transcend and include. It's an amazing way of doing magic. Is also an amazing way of doing your life because you're never bored.
That's true.
You may be surprised a lot, but you're never bored.
You're more engaged, I think.
That's a good word.
You're more engaged in what's going on, I think. So hopefully we'll see all of you folks, all of you watching on the rerun, all of you, anybody watching during the live. We'll see you guys on Saturday the 25th this month for the Synchronicities get together. Now, is that a by donation class? Is that a fee? Okay. It's a donation class.
And hopefully, February and March, you can look for chaos circle,
Mhm.
because that's what we'll be doing. Just gather in a circle and start doing things together.
Yeah. Okay, and when you make the donation, some of that will go to support the person running the event, some of it will go to support the store. So it's a win-win for you, for the teacher, for the shop. You can pay for the space. This will be where it is actually right here in our art gallery and classroom. I should say that the art that you have been seeing for the last few weeks is going to be coming down at the end of the month. We must say goodbye to the adorable Liz Milner artwork, but we'll be getting some showing from Chris Wilson, so there'll be some wonderful pieces in at the end of this month, and we'll be scheduling out that art opening for sometime in early February. So it's going to be a jam-packed February month. Oh, also, Aphrodisiacs class, I promise it's coming. And it's always, oh yeah, it's always fun to talk about those herbs. And why, what are the patterns, since we're talking about patterns, what are the patterns that inform which one to pick? Like I tried this one, it was okay, well that's because you're a warm, sweaty human being and this is not for you, it's for cold, dry people, so it's going to make you warmer and sweatier, that's not going to be comfortable. Let's find one that's for the warm, sweaty person, and suddenly, everything is wonderful. Just don't tell me how wonderful in any detail. That's all I have. Oh well. That said, I think we're going to wrap it up a little early today for some really important reasons, sadly. But I hope you all have a wonderful week. I will see you tomorrow for the Herbal Live. Let me know if there's an aspect of herbalism you want me to focus on, and I'm happy to go there. But in the meantime, have a wonderful week and blessed be everybody.